Katrina is watching us in Sydney tonight. How are you, Katrina?
I'm fantastic, thanks, Paul. How are you?
I am amazing because I'm not only talking to you, but I've got the best job in the country. So let's talk. Let's talk a bit of politics.
Of course, yeah. I'd just like to say I love Donald Trump. Can't wait to see him get another 4 years. But I think the Democrats are stepping on their own toes. I think there's one person that can possibly stand up to him, and that would be Tulsi Gabbard. But Hillary Clinton hates her, so there's no way they'll run her.
I couldn't agree more. Look, she's the type of person who, again, it's this thing, right? So we keep being told, right? Remember that if the woke revolution had happened in Australia, thank goodness it didn't at the last election, then the cry from the left would have been, the only way that Liberals can ever win again is if they're a little bit more like us.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But when it works that, for taking on a Conservative, well, you have to be the absolute, the only way to win is to be the extreme opposite, rather than working out the same people. Remember, and we're actually going to go back to the States and go and have a look at the places that voted Obama, Obama and Trump. Are they going to go around again, or are they going to flip? And the only people who can flip that are people who were willing to vote for him once, who have to vote the other way again. Good on you, mate. I'm glad you're there. Colin, how do you feel about where the Democrats seem to be heading in the US? I know that you, like me, are a Trump fan, but is there some way that by picking an extremist who is anti-establishment, even though, of course, he's been a senator for decades, that somehow that is going to create an unseen base that people didn't see like they didn't see with Trump?
I've got a feeling they're in an awful place. Obviously, Bernie Sanders is popular with the socialists, but the Clintons and the people, they would be scared of him. But it's just so fragmented even in amongst the Democrats, regardless of the divide between the Democrats and the Republicans. You know, I was not originally a fan of Trump. I want to be honest about that. But boy, what he's done in the last 3.5 years impresses me a great deal. And, he's grown on me, and I see what I love about him is that he does put Americans first. He's backed up what he said he was going to do. And, he's not a typical politician. And that really worried people at the start. So I just feel as though he's got a jump start on all of them now, because they've still been playing the game, and now they're fighting them as much amongst themselves as they are against the Republicans. The Republicans, when Donald Trump put his name up, were a mess. He came in, he was very strong. The people of America backed him, just got him over the line. I think he'll win in a landslide next election.
What you can see right now is the great man and the First Lady who are at the Taj Mahal signing the visitors book as they are in India. One of the many things they have done thus far, apart from visiting that world-famous site, is greeted by more than 100,000 people in a football stadium in India. By the way, national polls, Real Clear Politics average, apparently Sanders versus Trump. Sanders is, according to the most, I'll just have a look here at the most recent polls, Sanders by 4, 3, 6, 2, 4, 3 and 8. So none of the last half a dozen polls suggest that Trump would win. But of course, Gideon, it's not about the national poll, because in the national poll, it matters what California thinks and it matters what New York thinks. But the point is, what does Ohio think?
Paul, these are the same polls that predicted Hillary Clinton would win in a landslide, and she suffered a humiliating loss. I am loving what the Democrats are doing to themselves. This is fantastic. They are picking the wackiest candidate they can possibly find. I mean, this is really the path that the British Labor Party went down, because Ed Miliband was no right-winger and no moderate, and when he lost the election to David Cameron, they decided to dig up the most left-wing candidate they could possibly find in some sort of Hail Mary, and we got Jeremy Corbyn. But what Bernie Sanders will do to the Democrats will make the drubbing that Jeremy Corbyn suffered last year look like a polite garden party. This will also be a lot like 1972. It'll be Nixon versus McGovern, a controversial, strong-willed president versus a left-wing, out-of-left-field challenger. And in the end, McGovern only won one seat. I think it was North Dakota or Minnesota or something. So, I look forward to the first Tuesday in November when I can get my gloat on.
All right. Well, look, just before you get your gloat on, and I know the same polls were wrong, but I'm just saying, in the state of Florida, Sanders would apparently win that by 0.3%, or it's a tie, or Sanders by 6, according to the most recent ones there. In Ohio, which is, again, just counted as a Trump potential win here, latest poll says Sanders by 6, but one that was done about 2 months ago had Trump by 1. Now, of course, all of this is meaningless because until you actually get into the one versus the other, until you get into the absolute clarity of who's going to vote and not going to vote, all of these things are rather theoretical, aren't they?
But one more thing, Paul, that you have to remember with these polls is they ask people who would you vote for, you know, team red or team blue. They don't actually factor in a lot of them turnout, and I think that's one thing that Trump will absolutely have going for him. He is filling stadiums with lines around the block. A lot of Democrats, when faced with a choice between Trump and Sanders, will stay home. So I think that's what needs to be factored into a lot of these polls.
Or look, you know, I'm a believer. I want him to get 4 more years, but I'm doing what they don't do over on Channel 2, which is just occasionally letting some alternative information get in there for the diversity of opinion.